waterman from Phoenix said, "You have to realize the earth is a closed system. 3/4 of it covered with water. Only a small percentage of that is drinkable. The rest, brackish. The challenge is universal. Consequently, it being a closed system, we're drinking the same water that Archimedes drank. We're drinking the same water that Napoleon drank. We're drinking the same water that Galileo drank." Once you realize that and put it into that context, you get it. There's only so much we can do with it. It rained last night as Galileo's tears boiled hot in my Maxwell house. Usually I hate instant, but this tasted different, richer, more rebellious, insistent instant. It had never crossed my mind that I could be sipping the salt and sweat from the Inquisition's nastiness over 300 years ago. Leaning back, I smell France and Marie Antoinette's cake. I take another sip, blowing first to cool, the steam rising, pulling back in on itself, whooshing the warm brown liquid in my mouth, savoring images of Joan, the Maid of Orleans, dawn, head bowed, her newly medaled knee down on the ground, resting in the dew that covers the battlefield, her forehead wet with holy water. Of Melissa Etheridge in the pouring rain on stage in Texas, rain on her face, sweat on her upper lip. Of my grandmother Minnie, now dead 21 years, her tiny Chicago countertop kitchen, the drops of water collecting on the wall next to the stove, boiling our 3-minute eggs. As the black and white TV fills with pictures of women in Vietnam stretched out in rice paddies, not sleeping. Most of the coffee's in me now, down and inside, the parts and passages that make up me. Where does the black of coffee go? I think of the East River, the Atlantic Ocean, my 8th grade cloud charts, of Phyllis Schlafly and Gloria S., of mothers whose water breaks too far from help. Holding the cup, its curve a circle, I think of all my nieces, Jacqueline, Lydia, Madeline, Becky, Jessica. The last of the liquid cool, I drink all that remains, letting the possibilities of past, present, and future swim, float, dive, and pool together, as if time were just a part of it, and water was the heart. Oh, shit! Just a second, I'm coming. Hold on. First or something. I'll cover. Hey! 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 DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, we put the mental back in environmental. Yeah, we're just getting started. Just a sec. Can you turn the house lights up just the tiniest little bit, please? Oh, there, that's good. Yeah, they're here. Keep that up, that's a good thing. Not too high, not too low. Just right. These fellas are working shaft 23B, Red Hook, Brooklyn. They're on the day shift, that's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right now, they're just about to go down to work in what's called the man cage, unless I'm on it. Then they call it the personnel hoist. I've been a carpenter for 20 years. And this here's my favorite tool. It's called the water level. It's the way you tell what's level with what over long distances. Now, I like to think that it's one of the most ancient tools in construction. But upon reflection, I realized that it was probably pretty difficult for the Egyptian slaves building those pyramids to come across long lengths of clear plastic tubing. So I decided to settle just for the fact that it's my favorite tool. Let me explain how it works. Say, for instance, you live in an apartment where the ceiling goes like this and the floor goes like that. Now, you come into a lot of money, and you decide you want to hire somebody like me to make the ceiling go like this and the floor go like that. Now, you could only have short people and young people over for dinner, but that's okay with you, so you call me up. And I bring the water level with me. Basically, I got to find out what's the low point on the ceiling that matches the low point over here, and I got to determine what's the high point on the floor that matches the high point over there. But just to make sure you really get it, I'm going to have to ask someone in the audience to volunteer to do a brief demonstration. It's only going to last about 2 minutes, and I promise it's the only audience participation thing in the entire show. Look deep in your hearts. Can I do this? Yes, that's great. Come on down. Hello. My name's Marty. Hi, Nina. Nice to meet you. Thanks very much. So let me give you this end, and you stand over there by the monitor, and I'll lay this out on the floor. There we go. Okay, now hold it kind of near the cork. Yeah, that's good, that's good. Now let's see what's going on here. We've got a little bubble thing happening. You lower yours. Okay. Okay, we got it. Now pull the cork out gently and just keep the water level where it is. There you go. There you go. That's it. Now, okay, now raise the water level you're holding about 5 inches. Raise it up about 5 inches. Nice, nice. Down 5 inches. Good, right there. And when it stops bobbing, where that line is on you and where this line is on me, that's where we're level with each other. So replace the cork firmly but not fanatically. And you can just lay it down on the floor. That's great. I appreciate it. Great. There you go. Now, coiling is a skill in construction. It's even an art. And as you can see, I got a little more coiling art in my future. Everybody notices a good coiler on the job. You don't get any more money, but you get a little more respect. It's like somebody who takes good care of their tools. Even if it's a big job with like 200 or 300 people working, if somebody takes good care of their tools, everybody tends to notice that. And when even the sleaziest carpenter, when they borrow that person's tools, the person who takes really good care of them, that carpenter takes a little bit better care of their tools than they take care of their own. When I go to the construction sites, I'd usually hang out in the trailer where the miners hang out, and they always have a big pot of coffee like that, and sometimes even bigger, but no matter where I was, they always had these little teeny tiny cans of evaporated milk.
y'all realize that if it wasn't for sexism, I wouldn't have to be carrying these really heavy bags of cement from upstage to downstage at the start of every show.
Safety. Safety isn't an accident, it's a habit. And the worst habit is if you let what you're doing become a habit. You got to do what you do as if you did it 10,000 times before, and you got to do what you do as if you never did it once. If you're having trouble following what I'm saying, listen harder. Don't cut corners. Prior planning. Prior planning prevents pissed off performance. The 5 P's. Be systematic. It is not an accident that the word systematic and the word safety both begin with S. Safety is what happens when you do things right. Accidents are what happens when you do not. Eyes come to a person. Oops does not pay for the funeral. Watch your buddy's back and your buddy will be back to watch your own. You go down with 10 men, come up with 10 men. End of sentence. Tunnel number 3, 64 miles long, 800 feet down in hard rock. The first shovelful dug in 1970, the last check signed in the year 2025. City Water Tunnel number 3, the largest non-defense public works project in the Western Hemisphere. A tunnel so damn big, even its mother doesn't recognize it. 24 people killed so far. Hundreds more maimed, costing us 5 billion big ones. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4. Paid for by the people of New York City. That would be you and me. Hell, I didn't even know we had $5 billion. City Water Tunnel number 3, and boy, do we need it. Tunnels number 1 and 2, almost and halfway to 100 years old, bringing 9 million New Yorkers. Now that's a lot of diversity. The next best thing to oxygen. The third water tunnel. New York City comes together because we believe there's a future. In fact, we're planning on it. Now there's 3 parts to a water tunnel: the shaft, the tunnel, and the valve chamber. And in order to save money on production costs, I'm going to play all 3 parts. First, there's the shaft. Now, the shaft is the vertical hole which goes from the top of the ground where we're all living down as deep as you're going. In this case, 800 feet. That's the Chrysler Building turned upside down. Now, a shaft is sunk using a method called drill and blast. Drill and blast. What you do is you first get any dirt you got up there out of the way. Then you get your big jumbo or your baby jumbo. Those are 2 kinds of huge drills. And you drill into the rock. Then you pull the bits out and you pack the holes you just made with dynamite, which in this business is called powder. And then you blow that sucker up. Kaboom! Then what you do is you muck it out. Now, muck is the word to describe all debris in the tunneling business. You muck it out with a conveyor belt, you muck it out with shovels, you muck it out with big buckets, whatever you got. And after you finish mucking it out, you blow bottom. Now, blowing bottom means that you scrub and clean every single surface that you've just exposed with that blast, with a toothbrush if you have to. What you're looking for is any cracks or crevices, anything that could lead to an accident. Now, after you blow bottom, you go back up to the top, and then you drill, you pack it with powder, you blow it up, you muck it out, and then you blow bottom again, down and down and down and down until you finish the job. Once you sunk the shaft as deep as you're going, which is to 28 feet in diameter, then you concrete it to 24 feet in diameter. And in this case, we're using a concrete that is of such superior quality, a concrete so
fine that it's already won several awards from the American Concrete Institute. After you finish your concreting, you put a concrete cover down about 20 feet below ground on top of that shaft, and you up where we're all living, you make it look like nothing's going on below. And on the day you finish that, and no one's been killed, that's a good day. Next, we got the tunnel. Now, the tunnel is the horizontal hole. It goes from shaft to shaft. You drive a tunnel. So basically, you got a shaft here and a shaft here, and then you connect the tunnel from this shaft to this shaft. Then you sink a shaft over here, then you drive the tunnel over this way. Basically, it's kind of like connect the dots. Now, the tunnel used to be made drill and blast, but now we're using something called the tunnel boring machine, TBM. It's also nicknamed the mole for short. Now, the mole is this incredibly huge machine that at the front of it, it actually has hard, highly tempered steel cutters that literally grind out the rock ahead of it with 3 million pounds of pressure behind when it's in full operation. And the muck in this case is little kind of ground up rock powder, which they take out on this railway system. Now, when you're driving the tunnel, they actually put in train tracks, they put in railway cars, they put in ventilation lines, they put in electrical lines, and that's how they get people in and people out and equipment in and equipment out. When they've finished concreting the tunnel with this same high test concrete, they pull out the railway cars, they pull out the train tracks, they pull out the ventilation lines, they pull out the electrical lines, and all that's left 800 feet down is this beautiful concrete cylinder completely filled with water. 2 billion gallons a day in New York City, last count. Now, in the 1960s, New York City tried to use the mole to finish our 63rd Street subway station. But it didn't work because it turns out that New York City has the hardest rock in the world, which I think we should just pretty much take pride in. Next, we got the valve chamber. Now, the valve chamber is this dugout space about 200 feet underground. It's between the tunnel 800 feet down and up here ground surface. Now, the key word in the valve chamber is valve, as in the valves, you turn water off, you turn water on. And maybe somebody is fortunate enough here to not really have ever had the experience of having to discover the valve that's down there right by your toilet. When your toilet's overflowing, you know, and you're yelling, honey, honey, honey. They're like, turn the valve off, and you're getting your hand down there and you don't want to do it and you turn it off. Or say you got 2 valves underneath your kitchen sink. You got the valve for hot water, the valve for cold water. You decide one day you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to fix that drip, drip, drip faucet all by yourself. So you decide, oh, you're going to go to the nearest hardware store, Ace hardware store, and buy that little box of washers, and you're going to, about 7 hours later, you kind of put it back together. You've only got a few extra pieces, and you go to turn the water back on, and you turn it, and the valve just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. That's the nature of a valve. Valves are the most vulnerable part of a plumbing system to the corrosive effects of water. It's almost their inherent nature to break. Which brings us back to tunnel number 3. Tunnels number 1 and 2 are almost and halfway to 100 years old, and they've never been inspected, ever. And that's because the DEP has never found, located, and hired the individual who feels so relaxed, so carefree, so glass half full, that he can walk into the valve chambers of tunnel number 1 and 2 and look at those valves that have never been turned off and say, turn them off. What the hell whether they go back on? I feel lucky today. So what we're doing is we're building tunnel number 3, which is going to echo the systems of tunnels number 1 and 2, so that when number 3 is finished and up in operation, we can go back in and turn the valves off to tunnels 1 and 2, empty them of water, and go in and take a look around. Now, the valve chamber that I fell in love with is on Roosevelt Island. It's got 100-foot high ceilings. It's 150 feet long. It's 50 feet wide.
and the sound of water is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. We live in a very wet planet. When I was very young, my grandmother was sitting in a chair. I walked by and she pulled me over. She stood me up straight between her knees. She squeezed tight. She looked me right in the eye and she said, "When you grow up, you are gonna be somebody." And I asked, "But Baba, what am I now?" A few years later, I climbed into my grandfather's lap. He put one hand on one shoulder, one hand on the other. He looked me right in the eye and he said in a very serious tone of voice, "When you grow up, if you work really, really hard and do the very best you can, you could end up ahead." And I asked, "But Grandpa, who would I want to be ahead of?" When I was born, the doctor pulled me out, turned me upside down, slapped me hard on the butt and said in a disappointed tone of voice, "It's a girl." I heard him. I tried to look him in the eye, and I wondered, what's a girl? In the 3 years that I spent working on the City Water Tunnel No. 3's art project, I met and interviewed 250 people. Maybe 251. I'd like to introduce you to some of them right now. John O'Flaherty. A lot of people say Flaherty. O'Flaherty. That would be O''Flaherty. I've been in this business a long time. I started out working on the Harbor Tunnel in Boston. My brother was killed standing almost right next to me. You're asking me for a high point or a low point. I guess that would be one or the other, depending on how you're speaking of it. That's when I came down to New York City. I hooked up with Local 147. Oh, it's a good union. Oh, it's a good union. Well, it's been good to me. We do all the construction work that's under 50 feet here in the tri-state area. Anything under 50 feet, that's where we come in. Tunnel workers, miners, sandhogs. That's our nickname. Oh, if it's derogatory, we lost track of that a long time ago. The Brooklyn Bridge. She's our job. The caissons at least. All the sewers, all the tunnels, that's all our work. No, it's not an easy life. Oh no, if the breathing thing, what do you call that? If that don't get you, your ears are shut from the noise. It's very noisy down there. Your joints are aching from the damp. It's very damp down there. No. If you make it to 60, you're doing all right. She won't be letting you go easy. Oh no. She won't let you go easy. Hey, what are you doing here? Who let you in here? No, you do not need to know my name. No, you do not need to know my union president's name. Hey, say, you the girl making that movie? Yeah, I'll tell you two things. Tony, operating engineers, local 15. You know, I don't think people realize that if one of those tunnels, one or two goes out, that's it. That stops the water getting to that part of the city. No more water, no more nothing. Nada, no way. Finito, bonito. No drinking, no scrubbing, no flushing, no floating, no soaping. That's it. People gotta pack up, move out, evacuate, vamonos. And they ain't gonna be coming back. Not for a very long time. I'm so afraid of getting carpal tunnel syndrome. My sister's husband got it. He no work for 3 years. 3 years, Marty. What they pay you in this country not work for 3 years? Marty, don't interview me. My English, it's not so good. Interview the men. What the men do, it's important. What I do is not important. Very well, very short. I come from Poland 9 years ago. There I was civil engineer. Here I am engineering technical associate. Soon I take tests, move up, project manager. It is my job to make drawings on computer of all construction work on site for third water tunnel. Any construction work done, the progress every day, it comes back to me here at the DEP, and I make drawings, CAD drawings on computer. It's very important. Every foot of earth is filled with information. Here, I make quicker. Roosevelt Island valve chamber. Here's drawing I work on, even now. Roosevelt Island valve chamber. You think this is pretty? Very well. Here we have curved concrete arch, 100 feet high. We have 4-foot diameter cast iron pipes going down 900 feet to tunnel running there. Water comes up, it crosses in tunnel. Here we have valves not drawn in because they're still being made in Japan and Chile. Here we have water back down and it goes on its way. We have column behind, face of wall, drainage channel for V-poles, rock anchor assemblies. Marty, you should know these terms. You're a carpenter. There. Very good. Very well. So nice to talk to you. Thank you very much. Interview is over. My mother came to this country from Jamaica when I was 5. She worked 2 full-time jobs and brought us all over to join her when I was 15. My first day of high school, they told me I could intern at the DEP. That was 35 years ago. So I guess you could say I know something about work. Now, officially, my job title is payroll supervisor. In actuality, what I do is I supervise the payroll. Basically, I make sure the check really is in the mail. That's very important. You say that people are speaking well of me. Well, they might not be too crazy about me if I was not doing my job. When it comes to the money, I have to take care of that. I also handle related functions, such as last month a woman, she came to me. She'd been working out a title for 3 years. That means she's doing the work, but she's not getting the money, if you know what I'm saying. That happens a lot more around here than you might think. Now, the way to handle that is you file a grievance through my department, and then I got to go about getting a title change, or what's called an assignment differential, or simply get her that title. Finally, it was resolved. Finally, they gave her that title. I like that. Those kind of things, they are rewarding. Yesterday, a young fella, he come to me. He missing 34 cents out of his paycheck. Maybe it come from FICA, workman's compensation, Social Security. Now, you're maybe thinking 34 cents, that's not a lot of money. But most of the employees working here at the DEP, they living on very tight budgets. And that 34 cents, that's money he's counting on. I see you looking at the whale poster. My eldest daughter left that behind when she went away to school. I put it up to help people remember what we do here. Maybe what they were thinking when they come to work here in the beginning. No actual whales down in the tunnel that I know of, but you know, these days sometimes work, it can get pretty hard. And there are times when we all could use a little break. Dip. Fan. Ole. Roosevelt Island valve chamber, 170 feet down, pouring the east wall of the main chamber. Huge concrete form. Bottom pulls out because of the weight. Whole form, which is there to keep the concrete to hold a shape until it dries, pulls away. Concrete slumps down, 20 elephants worth. 200 elephants worth. Big elephants. Contractor has a shit fit. Sends 2 guys to the only supermarket on Roosevelt Island to buy out all the sugar they had. Racing back to the job, 2 shopping carts apiece, filled with boxes, bags of sugar. And the men down below shoveling the sugar into the mix with one hand, tearing open boxes of sugar with the other, throwing sugar everywhere. You see, sugar keeps the load live longer. It keeps the concrete from setting so that it can be scooped up and thrown away before it hardens, thus preventing days and weeks of teeth rattling, cost overrunning, job delaying, jackhammering. Granulated, powdered, white, brown, confectioners. Sweetest job I ever worked on. When I get to the construction site, one of the first places I'd head would be the hog house. Now, the hog house is the above-ground trailer where the sand hogs hang out. On a construction site, everybody's got their own trailer. You got the DEP trailer, you got the general contractor trailer, you got Local 3, the electricians, you got operating engineers, Local 14, Local 15. And the hog house is being taken care of by somebody called the hog house man. Now, that's usually a miner who's getting close to retirement, and his job is to make the coffee, get the water, keep things clean. Basically, he's the above-ground connection to the below-ground work. Now, Local 147 is over 100 years old, and from its beginning through to this day, most of its membership is composed of men of either Caribbean or Irish heritage. It's very much a father-son, uncle, grandfather, nephew kind of business. It's an all-male construction union, and it's the first integrated union in the country. When I get to the hog house, most of the times there'd be a group of shapers sitting around a picnic table playing hog rummy. And out of all the shapers I tried to agree to interview with me, only one ever did. The rest of them all said, "Don't talk to us. We ain't working. Talk to the men. They're the ones who were working." I've been shaping for 9 months now. Shaping means looking for work. You show up every morning, bright and early, and sooner or later they take you on, hire you, if there's work, that is. Maybe something happened the night before and they needed extra on, or maybe somebody didn't show up to work that day. That's how you get work in construction, not just in the tunnel, but in all the trades. 5:30 a.m., religiously and consistently. And in that 9 months of shaping, I had exactly 4 days' work. 2 of them spent out at the landfill sorting through the muck dumped there from the tunnel, looking for unexploded dynamite caps. Back in the 70s, 80s, they had 700-800 men working full out. Now in the 90s, they got maybe 70, 80 tops. I think when times are hard, like they are now, you have to work extra hard to be fair. As we're talking, he sees somebody he knows walking outside the trailer. "Hey! Hello! Good to see you! Yeah! All right! Hey! You be well! tells me that that young fella who just walked by, that his grandfather brought him into the Union 26 years ago. Nice man, his grandfather. Nice man, an Irish fella. He always called me Roy. Roy. My name is Lloyd. Good to meet you. Glad you got here. Listen, we just got word that one of our salesmen won the award for selling the most municipal bonds in the entire nation last week. Stick around. I'd like to introduce you to each other after this interview. So, we sell bonds, municipal bonds, bonds to build your subways, bonds to build your wastewater treatment systems, bonds to build what you say you're interested in, the third water tunnel. Bonds to build infrastructure, not this goddamn junk stuff they've been building since the 80s. Speculations, acquisitions, mergers, damn it. Infrastructure. You want to build something that actually does some good for people. Well, anyway, you're telling me that this thing is costing $5 billion. I got one thing to say about $5 billion. No problem. $5 billion? Ha! I can get it for you just like that. Let me explain how it's done. Mary, listen, come on. Oh, never mind, I found it. She's been with me a year and a half. I stole her away from accounting. So you get yourself a piece of paper, and on it you write water bond. Now this is going to make it seem more simple than it is, but to tell you the truth, it's not that much more complicated. Now we got to come up with a price tag. So you're telling me this is $5 billion. We can't be charging $5 or $10. Let's say $5,000. Okay, $5,000, and then we got to come up with the terms. Let's say 20 years. Okay, we got it. Now, I'm going to sell you this piece of paper for $5,000. And you're not going to see your $5,000 for 20 years, but that doesn't bother you because you are a rich woman. But what you are going to get for your $5,000 is every year for 20 years, you're going to get 6% interest. And that's not the most incredible thing. The most amazing thing is that that 6% is entirely, totally, completely tax-free. No city, state, or federal tax. I can hear you all listening. Maybe now you're beginning to get it. Basically, our job as geologists is to reach an understanding of the rock we're going through and then apply that knowledge to the work of construction. Once we've determined where we want the tunnel to go, we drive a truck along the proposed tunnel route. And in the back of that truck, there's a drill which we set down and drill down 700, 800, 900 feet as deep as the tunnel is proposed to go in that particular location, and come back up with these core borings, test borings, which we carefully label, mark, and keep track of. If you think about it, this is critical information for the general contractors when they're making their bids. The general contractor is in a position of needing to decide how much it's going to cost to drive that tunnel, how much to bid on $250 million jobs, with this being the only piece of concrete, pardon the expression, information they have to go on. Once the work of the actual construction is begun, it is our job to carefully examine all rock as soon as it's revealed. What we're looking for is any loose, scaling matter or material, any cracks or crevices, anything that could lead to an unsafe condition, say, for instance, an accident. At the same time, we're building a picture of what's happened to that rock over the millions of years of its existence. The rock we're going through now in Red Hook, Brooklyn, is 450 million years old. and comes from a time when the west coast of Africa, the Orkney Islands, and New York City was all part of the same land mass. It's very humbling. I think it's good to be humbled in your job every now and then.
Jeez, what are you doing here again? You are like a bad penny. I can't get rid of you. Listen, I got to explain something to you. You obviously do not understand. We're not trying to work here. And you come waltzing in with your dancing or your drama, whatever it is you're doing. Jeez! What did I ever do to you?
Are you girls Irish? You look like you could be Irish.
Hi, girls, hey, listen, you need masks. You need masks down here to protect you from breathing the dust when we blast the rock. It could give you silicosis, like asbestosis. Well, not in such a short period of time, but my dad, oh no, you don't want that. That could kill you. You need masks. I'll go get them. We got any masks? Any masks? I'll go get them. Me? My mask? I'm so old that you're still young. I'm dead already.
Where's the water come from? It comes from the Catskill and Delaware watershed region, with 10% still coming from the nearby Croton. And to build our beautiful water delivery system here in New York City of 16 reservoirs, New York City over the past 100 years has condemned, seized, bulldozed, and flooded 12 towns out of existence. And the people up there haven't forgotten it. They still have annual gatherings where the people from the different towns come down to the shore of the reservoir where the town used to be. You see the road going down into the water, the old roads, and they stand there and look out with their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. They say, that's where your grandparents' store used to be. That's where your grandparents, that was their church. That was where they were married. Right about there, wasn't it, honey? I think the cemetery was just out behind that. It's an economically devastated area. I didn't meet one person up there who wasn't working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. They're a proud people, a hard-working people, a mountain people, even if they're old mountains. Now, when I went up there, there was one guy I wanted to meet in particular because I'd heard about him. The year before, apparently at a meeting that the DEP was having these meetings with the watershed folks trying to set things right and move things in a good direction. And at one meeting, he spoke up. He's a town supervisor. He'd been a policeman for most of his life. And he said if the DEP didn't quit messing with the watershed people, he was going to get his gun and shoot them. That they remembered. So I went up to meet him. And he tells me to meet him in this big, newly constructed kind of prefab combination police station town hall. Big building. Knotty pine walls and this big open meeting room, huge, with offices off to the side, and we're the only people in the building, just him and me. And he's this tall, skinny guy in his 60s. He's got those kind of sunglasses on you can't see in. And he's standing there. He's got a U.S. flag to one side. He's got the New York State flag and a flagpole to the other. And we had just established, barely, that I was interested in watershed issues when he said, "You You want to come down into the basement? I said, why? I got 700 volumes down there documenting the history between New York City and the upstate watershed region dating back to 1867. I said, couldn't we just chat a little first? He could quote line and verse from any one of those 700 volumes. He could talk about cryptosporidium for weeks without taking a sip of his hot black coffee. Anytime I met anybody up there, at one point in the conversation, or as I was walking out the door and saying goodbye, they would always call out, don't forget, it's our water too. So I'd like to thank them for their water. They're taking pretty good care of it. And I think we're putting it to pretty good use.
Well, I ain't happy. I don't mind telling you I ain't happy. Living across shaft 23B, Red Hook, Brooklyn. 56 dynamite blasts already. One whistle get ready. 2 whistles get set. It's scary. The whole apartment shakes. You'll see. You'll see. I wrote my community board a letter. I said, did you have to put the shaft in the parking lot across from my building? I can't speak for my neighbors, but they don't like it either.
Marty, no, don't take my picture, Marty. I'm too old, too ugly. Take the young, the pretty girls. My job, I come from Russia 9 years ago. There I was aircraft engineer. All us women here, DEP, Russia, Ukraine, Poland, we all engineers in our country. Here we meet. We become friends. I like that. Here we engineering technical associates, civil, mechanical, physical aircraft. I think perhaps the hardest. Here we coordinate information for our engineers. We help our engineers. We love our engineers. Good boys are engineers. My job is to keep track of all written information have to do with third water tunnel. Anything written, it comes to me. A contract order, subcontract order, memo, posted, change order, it comes to me and I keep track. Not on computer, in book, in log. I give paper, number, I write number in book and I file. It's a very important. We need to know 5 years, 10 years, 500 years, what problems we have. How we solve problems. Did we solve problems? Do not forget, I come from country with Chernobyl. Marty, you look so good. You're so pretty. You look so lovely. You look like artists, all dressed in black. I too try to dress professional for professional job. Do you like? Marty, you should wear lipstick.
I had a funny story when we were building the short section of tunnel in Queens, which was about 1,000 feet down. We had built a shaft, and the shaft was leaking after we filled it back over with sand. So in order to stop the leaking, we tried to figure out a way to do that. And one of the things we did, which is, it sounds funny, but it's a standard procedure, we packed it with oats. And the reason you use oats is because when the water comes in contact with the oats, it swells. And when the oats swell, they will sometimes seal off the water. So we did that, and we had some success, but not enough. So then we went into a chemical grout, which was a nitrogen-based material, and we pumped that in, and that basically sealed the water. But sometime later, we went down into the tunnel, we realized that there was something strange growing in the floor of the tunnel. And what it was a field of white oats, because the nitrogen from the chemical grout had acted as a fertilizer. The water in the tunnel, combined with the nitrogen, had sprouted oats, but because there was no light, they were white.
This is the accomplishment. This is what men died for, got maimed for. You could fit 3 St. Patrick's cathedrals in this place. I never dreamed it could be so beautiful. I worked in this Van Cortlandt Park valve chamber for 7 years. Part of my heart is in this place. It's a bit like heaven down here. Believe me, the men who died, they will be proud to see this. I feel proud of myself today, coming back here.
Oh, gee, oh, gosh, oh, golly. I've been a miner for 47 years. I just retired last year. They decided they better throw me a retirement party just to make sure I was really going. Ha! Well, listen, it's been a tradition in the Sandhogs Union for the last 100 years. Further back than that, I actually can't remember. That if we catch a fella sleeping on the job, we paint his boots white. That way, later on, when he wakes up and he's walking around looking like he's Mr. Busy, we look over and get to say, hey, looks like you was sleeping, weren't you? You know, those Irish Sandhogs, they're crazy. Oh, my God, they're crazy. Oh, they're crazy. You know, they all wear this kind of like white rag in their back pocket sticking out, you know, to wipe their hands or keep clean or whatever. They set each other's rags on fire. You know, this other thing this Irish fella did, when we come in on the man train in the morning, we set our lunch boxes, these curved top, big heavy-duty lunch boxes on this table that we got set up. And then after lunch, we set them back up. And when we're all on the man train, getting ready to go at the end of the shift, we just kind of reach down and grab up our lunch box, and we're on our way. This one fella nailed the bottom of the lunch boxes to the table. You know, it used to be an old wives' tale that it was bad luck to have women working in the tunnel. I mean, I myself never paid that much attention to it because I was too busy doing my job. But hell, I guess they got that straightened out. Eileen is running the tunnel.
Well, I guess you could say that it's unusual to have women working in the tunnel. I've been doing tunnel work for 12 years, and I can't say I've seen a lot of other women. Resident engineer, Shaft 23B, Red Hook, Brooklyn. Department of Environmental Protection. If I had but one wish, please, dear God, on my shift, let no one die. Walking boss heard it coming, but he was only halfway to the head and about 2 miles out. He started running, muck sucking his boots off. He kept running barefoot as the motor car passed him by, picking up speed, coming our way. I heard it first. A train had come uncoupled at the bottom bell house. We didn't have direct communication back then between the bell house and the heading. Just these phones along the rock wall every mile or so. Walkie-talkies were considered a luxury. On that crew, I was considered an old-timer. Something didn't sound right. I can't explain it. You develop a sixth sense in the hole. I dropped the wires I was working on, knelt, put my hand to the rail, listening. The slow roll of a motor car and no sound of a locomotive. That's when I knew for sure we had to run away. I tried to stand, turned and fell, yelling, "Run away!" to the men at the head and a quarter mile up. But there the big jumbo was working full out, 6 bits at the same time, getting ready for the next blast. And nobody would have heard me if I'd been yelling in their ear. 14 men working up ahead. 14 men working right on the track. I got up to my knees, turned and looked. That's when I saw, but I already knew what she was going to look like from stories my dad had told me about building Lincoln Tunnel. 200 tons of steel and no sign of a heart. Before she could get by me, I started grabbing anything I could get my hands on, throwing it on the track, trying to get her to derail before she got to the men. Bits of wood, busted rock, roasting scraps of rock bolts from the shoes we've been shooting, my work gloves, my hard hat. And as I was crawling, pushing off the side of the tunnel wall every couple of steps or so, this horrible metal scream cuts me in half as she comes riding off the tracks, riding on her outside wheels, bucking over, sparks flying from metal against rock, riding up the side of the tunnel wall, tearing out electrical lines, tearing out ventilation lines, tearing out everything as she comes straight at me. I threw myself behind this empty wood blasting carton. The noise alone hurt me to my bones. But inside my head, everything was dead quiet. Because I knew for sure she wasn't going to make it to the men up ahead. I must have passed out. I remember everything. Smoke so thick you couldn't see a thing. Fires everywhere. Men's voices yelling, sounding strange as if underwater. Blow out. But this wasn't a compressed air job. This was a hard rock job. All I could think was to get to the breaker box and turn off the juice before we had fires worse than this one, but I couldn't move. Out from under the smoke, this young fella comes crawling towards me. Must have been his third day on the job. I work with his uncle. His right side of his face is covered in blood. His left arm is hung off him all at the wrong angle. He gets to me, he grabs my arm. He says, "Don't worry. Don't try to move. I'm staying with you. We'll get you out." All I could think was, "Oh, Jesus, Mikey, if I look worse than you, we're in trouble." It took 12 of us to get it off him, a 2,300-pound transformer. We could only hold it up for a few seconds, then we had to let it go. His best friend pulled him out. He had to cut off his leg just to pull him out. His friend, he picked him up, carried him up front like a baby, walked him all the way back to the bottom bell house. His friend, he's crying so hard. The smoke is so thick you couldn't see a goddamn thing. We didn't think he could see where he was going. But he never missed a step. Like now God is with us. The man cage down and ready. We was lucky. We was lucky. By rights, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys should have been killed. I mean, as it was, 3 guys never worked again, but by rights, I mean, they should have all been killed. Later on, we found out that this guy on the crew from Pennsylvania, we didn't even know him that well. He took the leg. And later that night, him and his wife, they buried it in the cemetery. We all do what we have to do. You got to. Nice eyes. For the 24 men who've died building this third water tunnel. For the men and women who love him, who miss him, who work hard every day to make ends meet. To make an ends meet, which they seldom do for women working for half the wage. It's not the men's fault, but something must be done. God bless a good wage. God bless all who will never make it. For those of us who can't find work, for those of us who are laid off, for those of us who are unemployed, for those of us who are fired, for those of us who were bought off, bought out, for those of us who are given early retirement, for those of us with jobs we hate, with jobs that suck, for us who won't give up, for us who have. For Mike, for Larry, to penknives sharp enough to cut off your best friend's leg, to hearts strong enough to do that job, to love that lets us care and remember we do, to me holding my friends in my arms as they die, to saying goodbye then if there was time, to saying it now if there wasn't. To Brian and his fucking scrubbers, to Tommy and his blue eyes,
To Anthony Otto, God bless you, Anthony. I spill, drink, splash, cast water for you and for those who shared you. To Natasha, who's not afraid to care. To Leah, who watches and waits. To Grace and moving up. To Carlos and his coffee cans filled with pens and pencils. To Pete and his self-rescuing mass demonstrations. To Mike and his whiteoats with sugar on them. It's not scary to go to work and know you and your friend might die. It's scary to not have work to go to not know how you're gonna feed your family. It's scary to work a job that gives nothing back but a paycheck. No joy, no love, no challenge, not the satisfaction of a hard day over a good job done. I'm dancing, 'cause dancing is the story of winning, and that's where we're going. I'm the only Italian left in Local 147. Working out my last few years as a hoghouse man. My kids have all grown up into a lawyer, an appliance salesman, and a lifeguard. My mom, when I was young, she knew some Italian. She used to make up stories to go with the arias. A furtive tear falls down my cheek. As I think back on my life underground. 47 years, so wet, so loud. We drank to forget. Was it worth it? I mean, I could have been a mechanic. A proud, deaf old man. What comes next? Mama, in search for understanding, I call out to the ancient female principle, Mama! The earth, the cave, the tunnel, crying, yes, see! Knowing deep in my heart, if a woman is involved, things will probably turn out all right. And these tears I cry, they are for the men I work with. They are so dear to me, the dead and the living. Like when my daughter was born. Heaven touched me. I thought my heart would break. But instead, it beat harder. It grew bigger. I don't drink anymore, so that I can remember. Ha! Pee-wee! Big butt! Heavy! Hay bag! Mighty Mouse!
not. Again, the men, so dear. If my heart breaks, it'll be from happiness. That's just an Italian showing off. And as my friend John O'Flaherty would say, that pretty much speaks for itself now, doesn't it? Every now and then when I was interviewing folks, I thought it was okay if I asked them if they ever had dreams at night about their jobs. This one woman said, "Oh, everybody dreams about their job. Who wants to remember it?" This one miner from Grenada told me this dream he had over and over again. He was working 900 feet down in a hard rock tunnel. All of a sudden the tunnel started filling with brilliant blue water, just filling. And there was nowhere to go. I had a dream last night. I dreamed that my dad had a job that he loved when I was growing up. A job where he could tell how dear he was. I had a dream last night. I dreamed that my mom knew that it was good to be a woman, that a woman was a good thing to be, that she liked her job, raising the 6 of us kids, and that job came with a paycheck and time off. Y'all were in my dream. And in it, there's something that we never forgot. When we left here tonight, something we always remembered. No matter what. No matter how hard or mean or nasty or tough things got. And that was that we were going to make it. That we get there. Not that every single person sitting here now would make it or get there, but that didn't seem to be that important. It was like enough that that's where we were going. You go down with 10 human beings, come up with 10 human beings. Smells like rain.